MediaTalks, the podcast that helps to better understand the world of media and video advertising.
Hello and welcome to all our podcast listeners, and welcome to a new episode of your favorite ad tech and media podcast, MediaTalk. And I'm sitting here today with David Dworin, who is the Chief Product Officer at FreeWheel. David, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This really is my favorite ad tech and media podcast, if not my favorite podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Thank you. So we've been taking the sort of MediaTalk on a tour, and we've been in Cannes, and I'm delighted to be sitting here in New York for a special episode and looking at a very special topic that I think it's probably the most talked about topic in the industry, and probably the most talked about topic, full stop, which is artificial intelligence. So I'm going to throw a first question at you, David, is how is AI impacting the industry?
Yeah. Look, I think AI is impacting every industry, and we're obviously no different than that. And the analogy that I like to use is AI is impacting the industry the way the internet impacted every industry, in the sense that it is this massive transformation that is unleashing a period of abundance upon us in so many ways. And so in the same way that the internet made it so much faster and easier for us to transmit data between different points at different scales so that we were rapidly connecting people, artificial intelligence is unlocking intelligence for so many people and allowing us to augment everything that we do. There are all of these parts of our industry that are bottlenecked in so many different ways because they require human beings and human intelligence to do something that may not be the best outlet for a human being, but requires time and attention from them. Yeah. And as we can apply artificial intelligence to different parts of the media and entertainment and advertising landscape, or in ad tech or any other industry, but especially ours, it's going to do a few things. It's going to, one, take these bottlenecks, these areas of constraint, and liberate us from them. We'll be able to do so much more of things that we can automate through AI and through large language models or generative AI than we've done in the past. Mm-hmm. And from that, it's going to allow us to innovate in new ways, things that we haven't thought of yet because we haven't had the time or the attention or the ability to do that, or because there have been constraints on our ability to share and process data to create new things. We're going to unlock all of those different things. And so it's going to drive what I hope is this period of abundance with new efficiency and new innovation that is going to be incredible to watch and incredible to be a part of.
So talking about efficiency, I start backward in some ways. I know you've been to an ECTA event.
Yep. We were there Monday.
And they brought together a big delegation of senior executives from international sales house. And you talked about that same topic over there. So talking about AI and efficiency, where AI will add efficiency and sort of add revenues?
Yeah, so I'm going to use a couple of examples to talk about efficiency, and this is really one of my favorite ones. For a long time, people in the media industry have been sharing information back and forth between agencies and publishers or broadcasters, and they'll do it in different forms. And I used to hear this joke when I first started that certain agencies would send instructions over a fax machine, or they want to email everything, or everyone emails it with a different form, and some it's in Excel or some is a PDF. For a long time, there was this effort to get systems to talk to each other, to get an API in place between a buy-side system and a sell-side system. And despite all of these different attempts, aside from a few isolated instances, mostly that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. The systems still talk to each other through a human being sending a message to a human being and putting that into some sort of system, right? So there's this whole layer of data entry that's happening. And I don't think anybody wants their sales coordinators or their account executives or their planners to be doing data entry and paper pushing, right? There's so many other value-added things they could be doing, but those things need to get done and they take time, and the machines weren't able to do it. But instead of an API, a large language model is actually really good at understanding an email, and it can take that email and it can put it into a system. And it's really good at, it could read a fax, right? And so instead of having to come up with an API, we can take these existing systems and bootstrap them into structured data and into things. So that's just like one really quick example of the type of work that can really easily be automated without a lot of effort, right? I don't need to go hire an engineering team to do that. I don't need a development team. The models are available. You can directly put the information in. They can connect into our systems and they can translate it in there. You might want to have a human verify, but it's a much faster process. And this is like the first part of the process, the lowest hanging fruit. So as you look up and down every part of the process, whether it's creative generation, where I was talking with somebody the other day, they're picking headlines for articles. That's something that used to be texts back and forth with their team and meetings, and they'd take a list. Now they can get 40 of them right away. None of them are great, but they get them thinking. They can take the 2 or 3 best ones, they can evolve them and make them better. And this process that took days and a bunch of people meeting shrunk. It's much shorter and faster, and because of that, we can do more of it better.
Yes, and it's kind of freeing some time to actually focus on some other areas.
Yeah.
Which I'm far more complex.
Right, nobody thought the data entry and the title picking were the highest value part of the job.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fair. So how are you, from a FreeWheel perspective, how are you using AI within this sort of your system, and how do you bring efficiency all together?
So there's a couple of different ways. One is just within our teams. We're looking for how can we use AI, whether that's machine learning models or generative AI, to make us more efficient. Just like every other business, we're trying to do the same thing. I lead our product organization, and we're constantly thinking through how can we use it to write better research, better strategy documents, better designs in order to make us more efficient. But within the product, which is what I think is really relevant to our customers and to the people listening, we think of it in 2 ways. I think artificial intelligence is a combination of optimization or machine learning models that allow us to do really intelligent sort of learning in the system that makes it decisions better for us. And agents, which are able to interact with us using natural language and take action within the system on our behalf, whether it's drawing information out or making changes in the system. And in each of those cases, we've got a set of AI optimizations and agents that we build, that we put in the system. So we have a set of optimizations that we're going to do for inventory prioritization, for in our buy-side tools, for optimization algorithms for like cost per customer acquisition or cost per click, or all of these different things that we can do, cost per email sign up. Rather than just doing a CPM model, we can run an optimization that's a performance-based optimization. We have those built into the system. We have them for traffic shaping and yield management, all these different things. But unique among us, we have our buyer cloud technology actually allows our customers to bring their own optimizations. So in this abundant future that I'm talking about, every advertiser could have their own optimization keyed against our inventory using the signal that we're able to provide within our ecosystem, but unique to their objectives, right? Because different categories are going to have really different optimizations based on, and different brands with different positioning are going to be having really different optimizations, and in this sort of abundant future you can have both. But where I'm really excited about is on the agentic side, right? We're going to have some agents within the system for things where the sort of end-to-end path is within our system. And the example I like to use might be troubleshooting. So you've got a campaign, we can detect that the campaign is under-delivering, we can have a conversation with you, we can say these are the things that you need to do to make changes to that campaign to improve delivery or troubleshoot an endpoint, and have that fully happen within our system. But we also know that our customers are going to be building their own agentic workflows that might need to interact with our systems and a order management system or other ad servers or buy-side systems or their CRM systems and their billing and accounting systems and all these different systems. And so what we're building are MCP servers, which is a protocol that allows agents to talk to our APIs and understand what's happening with them. And that's going to allow our customers to bring their agents, their workflows, to talk to our systems. And that really unlocks this abundance, because you're no longer constrained by what our developers can think of, but anyone can go and be interacting with our system, and it unlocks so much in that interaction.
Is that something that is already available?
So we're testing it. We're testing it right now. We have some internal tests that we're doing that I think are really promising. They're incredibly cool. They The thing I like to say is we build our UI for sort of the median user. But in an agentic workflow, everybody can customize the UI. You can have it work the way that you want to do it. We've tested that internally. We're going to run some client tests in the next few months that are fairly limited, but our hope over the next year is to deploy that so it's in people's hands.
Are all agents able to talk to each other? Or because they all use different systems.
Yeah.
Are we going to have conflicts there, or they're kind of using?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think we are in this sort of emerging space for deciding the rules of how agents talk to each other and what they can expect of it. So there's nothing stopping the agents from just passing text back and forth right now, but they don't know the rules. In the same way that when we go to a meeting, right, we have Chatham House rules or we've got Robert's Rules of Orders that sort of set expectations about how we're going to function. We're trying to figure out what those things are for the agents. We have been working with a group called AdCP that has developed technology for that, for an agent-to-agent protocol that says this is how buy-side agents are going to talk to sell-side agents. Or how different agents are going to interact within the advertising ecosystem. I think there's other emerging protocols that are doing the same thing. This is still such a new space that there's a lot for us to figure out, and I think that that's one of them.
Okay. Is there I would say, a tech trend that you are at FreeWheel kind of choosing a path forward in some ways, or sort of a kind of some specific that you're looking after in general, and what is kind of your team prioritizing in terms of delivering real, I would say, measured value?
We try not to just chase trends for the sake of chasing the trend. I think if we did that, we would have a bunch of unused technology that was helping people to buy ads in Bitcoin, and and nobody would be sort of touching it, because what we try to do is figure out, given the new technology and given what's possible, how is this going to add value to our customers, our publisher partners and their viewers, or to their advertiser partners and our advertiser partners and the brands that they work with? And how do we sort of see that intersection of value between the publisher with the content, the viewer who wants to consume it and has the attention, and the advertiser trying to drive their objectives and use that? And so there's a couple of things that we're leaning into that we think are really relevant to that. One is how can we make streaming as a medium work across the full advertising funnel? And this is one of the things. So traditionally it's been thought of as a brand medium, but around the world I think we have this opportunity with the new technology, with the data and audience and identity tech that we've launched in the past few years, to make it work even more effectively as an awareness medium and drive better targeting. But also increasingly we are bringing in capabilities for measurement and optimization that are going to make it really effective and performant for performance advertisers. And so with Universal Ads, which is something that we've launched here, we're trying to bring new advertisers into the ecosystem who haven't participated in streaming or TV before. And there's a lot that goes into making that happen. We're trying to unlock new inventory, whether that's linear inventory over broadcast or cable or satellite. We've got a lot of examples of where we're making that all just look like streaming, so that it's easier to buy, so that if you're watching the same show, however you choose to get it, that advertiser is able to reach you with the right message. You're not just getting one that's been stitched into the content. And we're trying to unlock that new inventory in terms of new types, new ad types, ad formats that haven't been available in the past, because you need to have a digital ecosystem that supports it. And then the last thing that we're going after is what we talked about, which is AI. How can we just be unlocking the power of agents and optimizations to make everything more efficient and more effective and more powerful for our partners?
It looks like, in some ways, though, in fact, we just released a report. It's a European marketer report.
Yep.
So we interview marketers across Europe to gauge their sort of perspective for the new years ahead and what their spend outlook. And we asked about their sort of the marketing priority, and the top marketing priorities today, harnessing the power of AI.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting, and over the past 2 years, it's gone up the ladder, and now it's kind of at the top of their sort of priority. So, but we know it's quite interesting because quite often the way they use AI is more about efficiency rather than performance. We live in this world of performance now. do you think it's a process? That they
Yeah.
start with efficiency and then move on to performance, or you can do sort of both, or you should focus more on the performance?
I think everybody talks about AI in terms of efficiency, and at least for me, I don't know if that's the right lens. I think there are so many parts of jobs, the things we do every day, that will become more efficient because of AI. But when people talk about efficiency, they think about it as, well, how I'm going to cut costs or reduce costs. But I like to think of it in terms of abundance, right? And the reason I say that is what AI is really helpful for isn't how can I create a single ad for lower cost, but it's actually saying, how can I create 100 ads, right? Yeah. And today, we're not bottlenecked by the ability to create that single ad. It's that there's so many people who aren't able to create a ad that can appear on streaming or on television because it's too expensive, and you need talent, and you need creative brains, and you need all of these things to do it. But the technology is getting to a place where actually you can do that, right? People with a much less cost can create it, so we're just gonna have so many more ads. And the same thing will happen for the people that are able to produce those ads today. They're able to produce 1 or 3 or 4, but what's stopping them from producing hundreds so that the people in the ads look different? One of my favorite examples I was in Egypt once, and I saw a car ad, and it was driving through the snow in a country that had never seen snow, right? And that's because it's very expensive to make that ad, and you need a car, and it's expensive to put it on a track and see it drive. But we're now entering a world where it's trivial to replace the snow with sand. And that's the type of thing that I think about. So is it more efficient? Yeah, it used to require going and putting a camera crew in a desert in order to put the car in the sand. We're entering a world where it doesn't, and so that's going to shrink and make things much more efficient. But that's the lens that I like to look through it with.
Yeah, I really like this idea of the abundance. That's where addressable takes all this kind of power and all meaning, because then you can address everywhere in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. Why should we see the same ad? And so whether you're an advertiser or a publisher, there's certain parts of your workflow that you're going to automate away and redirect humans towards some other task. But the point I like to make is no labor-saving technology in the history of sort of industrialization in the developed world has resulted in less employment. We have more people working today than at any point in the past. Even despite the internet replacing things, despite machines, despite robotics, the jobs change, we're doing different things than we have, but we're creating so much and so much more, and I'm excited to sort of see that happen again with AI, and I can see that future happening.
We've got the same with programmatics sometime, where we say, programmatics is all about automation. You would probably use less people. We need more people.
But you end up needing more people to keep it. They're doing a different job, right? But the flip side is that you get dynamic decisioning, you can manage frequency across different publishers, all these other things that unlock.
Okay. David, that's all we have time for. But before we leave, I think that's been fascinating. I think we need to follow this up, and I think maybe sometime next year, about the same time.
Would love to.
We'll do that again and see how we've progressed and how this is working. But for the last question I have for you is, what are your big hopes for 2026? And I have to say, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be industry related. It can be anything.
Okay, this isn't my biggest hope, but it's a big hope. And I can't wait to talk to you again in 2026 and see if we've got there. I love playing with these AI tools. I love using generative AI. And I will pick things every time they release a new model to make, and I brainstorm. And what I think, on my theme of abundance is this idea that I could just make a picture of whatever I want. I think it's so cool. And one day I thought of a picture of, I was putting myself in Star Wars, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I was flying a spaceship and someone was water skiing behind me? Right? What if there's a space princess or my buddy are water skiing beside my spaceship? But the AI can't do it. The water skier is always in front of the spaceship. Okay? This is a really interesting thing because I have this incredibly powerful technology that can make photorealistic images that are indistinguishable from the real thing, but it can't put the water skier behind the spaceship. And I think that's a really interesting technical challenge that's emblematic of a lot of what's happening in AI, where on the one hand it's so powerful, and on the other hand there's just really dumb stuff we can't figure out. And I'm hopeful that next year, actually, this is an example of the type of thing. The technology is moving so fast. It's so powerful that it will be a funny joke that I talked about in the past. And because of that, because we've solved that one, there's actually all of these other huge problems that we've solved that are actually much more substantial than that.
We'll come back next year and we'll see if the surfer is.
Can't wait. I'll bring the picture next year. We'll compare the pictures. Yep.
Proof.
All
David,
right.
thank you very much for talking to us.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Lots of learning. I think we're just at the beginning of that curve, but I love the idea of the abundance. And I think it's a great term to finish and finish the year as well.
Thank you so much, Manu. It was great talking to you as well, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. And to all our podcast listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, if you like us and like what we do, please rate us and talk about us. And until next time, goodbye.
MediaTalks, the podcast that helps to better understand the world of media and video advertising.